Well, ladies and gentlemen, can I just say, before you all rush off, no doubt to try all the different Indian and Chinese restaurants and things in London, that I can't tell you how proud it makes me this evening to see so many of you here from all around the world. Because apart from anything else, it reminds me of all the efforts that have been made for really quite a long time to try and find ways of building the possibilities for young people to start their own businesses. And of course, Sir Malcolm Williamson and Andrew Davenport have played such a key part in ensuring that YBI has developed to the extent it has. So I particularly wanted to use this opportunity this evening to pay a special tribute to Sir Malcolm and Andrew, because I'm only as good as all the marvellous people around who can help me do these things. And perhaps you can imagine sometimes how difficult it is when you try to start something like this. I remember 30 years ago when we had a terrible problem with youth unemployment in this country in the early 1980s. So it was then with my Prince's Trust that we came up with the idea of looking at self-employment and business startup schemes. This was quite radical, as you can imagine, in those days. And I had to go round this country ceaselessly trying to recruit people to help in the process of doing this. So I was endlessly finding myself addressing groups of business people and others to try and recruit support, but above all, to recruit advisors and mentors. So I used to spend my life at gatherings of people all standing there with their arms folded, looking rather defensive about the whole operation. So just getting over the hump and explaining to people and then showing them the value that can be obtained from helping people to develop their real potential and their talents and set up a business was an interesting challenge. But perhaps you can also realize how proud it makes me, the fact that now, after 30 years or more, I see people who have made hugely successful businesses. Many of them are millionaires who come back, as you probably realize now, to help as mentors and supporters in all sorts of ways, particularly in other parts of the world. So, as you can imagine, it is a special event, this, in terms of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. I hope all of you, ladies and gentlemen, have found today of value. I hope you find tomorrow in particular of value, because there you're going to have a session with 4 of my charities, YBI, the Prince's Trust, also the initiative for a mature enterprise, because believe it or not, there was a period when I was starting to get endless letters from people over 50, all complaining about the fact they'd been made redundant, or demanned or de-layered or something. It was a terrible fashion for doing this about 20 years ago. So I thought maybe we could look at helping them to start in business. So that is another area of what I've been trying to do. And then business in the community has also played a very important role in all this. So the key, it seems to me, is how we can integrate as many of these different operations as possible to help scale up and provide ever more opportunities for people. Sir Malcolm pointed out, of course, as you know better than I, that the problems of youth unemployment in many countries of the world are huge. And in particular, when you think just in Uganda, 80% of the population is now under 25. And the challenges are immense. But I also feel strongly, rather like Professor Mohammed Yunus discovered with the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, that actually providing the loan finance through women was enormously valuable, because it empowered them but also gave them some control over the numbers of children they had. And the problem I feel so often is that we have an enormous challenge in trying to deal with ever increasing numbers of people along with the impact on resources, let alone how do we provide enough jobs or start enough businesses. But you, ladies and gentlemen, the people who can help do this, you are doing it, and I admire you greatly for all the efforts you're making. But, of course, we couldn't do all this, could we, without the wonderful generosity and support of all the business sponsors, many of whom are now becoming more and more enthusiastic about what YBI and my Prince's Trust and others can do. So I wanted to use this evening particularly to express warmest gratitude to Accenture, to Barclays, to BG Group, also the Department for International Development, and of course the Inter-American Development Bank, for all the support they're now providing on a very substantial basis, for all their generous global investments to enable this entire network to function ever more effectively. So I do hope there are more people here this evening who will have seen the point of what we're trying to do and become even more enthusiastic about supporting it. I also finally wanted just to pay a real tribute to the young business people. I mean, I met one or two this evening who've won awards, and I know that so many of them have overcome huge obstacles in their own lives and within their own communities to be able to set up businesses in the first place. And it is an extraordinary achievement, I think, for so many of these young people to do something. For instance, when they went to see a bank and said they wanted to start their business, the banks wouldn't touch them because they had no collateral. And that is why I think what you can all provide through this network is of such importance, because you can provide, or we can provide, the first line of risk-taking, and by helping people to get over that initial obstacle with advice and everything else, then the banks will start to pay real attention to those businesses. So what you are doing is of crucial importance for the future and for helping to reduce youth unemployment. And when you think of the difficulties in Spain and Portugal and the Middle East, Africa, there's a huge task. But I've been so encouraged this evening to meet all of you and to see what you're doing, and nothing could give me greater pride or encouragement than to witness the way in which you're meeting these challenges. And I hope you feel at the end of these 2 days that you'll be even better equipped to meet those challenges and to make me even prouder, because the future depends on all of you and all those young people who are going to ensure that they are the future business people and mentors and supporters. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.